Welcome to Badass in Action, the show that ignites your inner fire and propels you toward your epic goals. I'm Melanie Browning, delivering raw interviews, game-changing stories, and mindset hacks to keep you moving. Get ready, it's go time. Hello there, welcome back to another episode of Badass in Action. I have a very special guest with me today, a very, very badass who is taking action. And I was talking with her off camera. It's an area where I know I focus on female entrepreneurs. She is here with a nonprofit, and that's a particular area near and dear to my heart that I feel need to be protected and supported. And they're like entrepreneurs that don't get a lot of the benefits. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you Autumn Timmons. She is the founder and president of Preston's Pursuit for Acceptance, a nonprofit geared towards providing first responders with tools for effective interactions with persons on the spectrum. Autumn is driven, empathetic, and bold, providing her with the patience and strength to advocate for those often less capable of self-advocation. Welcome so much. I'm so happy you're here, Autumn.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
It was great. I got to meet her in, I know you guys have heard me talk about it before, the Bold Women's group here in Gilbert, the Gilbert chapter. And we do little stories about, we get to present real quick about what we're here in the group for. And when I heard your story, it rang out to my heart. Again, nonprofits are something that are very passion driven, and there's a story behind it of what created it or what sparked it. Sometimes they're very personal in one's life, and sometimes they're personal in someone else's life that just grabbed a hold of them. What I'd like to do is get to know the story of how you started this, and let's start there. How did this nonprofit begin?
Thank you. It is very personal. We're very passionate. My husband and I, we love both sides of this. We are the parents of a 19-year-old son who's on the autism spectrum. But my husband just retired, actually, from law enforcement after 25 plus years of service. And so we see this need for advocating and giving a voice to not only our disability community, but also to our first responders. And the personal drive behind this was we were seeing too often in the media these encounters that didn't end well. And you could see that they were both trying, but they just didn't have the tools or the information needed. And there was a real pivotal moment on a particular incident that was really hard for us to process and understand. But I saw that as, instead of sucking our thumb and hiding in a closet, we needed to turn that around and do something positive and bring awareness and support. And especially navigating the system of being a mom for 19 years old to a son who he's verbal, but he struggles to self-advocate. And when he's in a heightened situation, severe anxiety, he will shut down and he won't remember his name, his date of birth. He won't be able to communicate those basics that are required or asked of him when he is going to encounter an individual with a uniform. Even though he's been raised around men and women in uniform his whole life, he'll still struggle. We saw a need to create this training module, which there's no standardized training for our first responders, for those that are on the autism spectrum. And so we wanted to create the standard and create this curriculum. And so we've created it, we wrote it. It's AZ Post certified, as well as IATLS certified, which is a nationwide certification. So we can take it all over the nation. And we just saw it as bringing tools, awareness, setting both our first responders up for success more, as well as our disability community, and just bridging that gap. But we don't just sit and talk at them, because it is in person, which is huge. That matters to us, because you're not going to get as much out of watching a video or what have you. And so we're really passionate about this being in person and hands-on and breakout sessions and, creating an opportunity for them to share stories as well and to interact and, getting them engaged.
That's super, super important. And someone that, used to be in law enforcement myself, appreciate the trainings, because I think a lot of people in law enforcement are hands-on kind of people. You're out there moving around and you're doing the things, and stopping to sit and watch a video is not, the most fun. It's not the most fun for anyone.
No.
But yeah, I think, even if they weren't learners that way, they've gotten used to learning in a moving environment. So that's very powerful. How did you go about developing the curriculum? What was that process like for you?
Yeah, so my husband, he was getting his master's, and he was in emergency preparedness, and he was required to write this paper, and it really kind of stemmed from that. It helped him create a curriculum based on that, and the instructor was even so blown away by what he had written, and was like, you need to create a standard for this, because there isn't one out there. And so my husband wrote a lot of the curriculum. We did a lot of research, reached out to people in the medical profession. We made sure that we touched all bases. We brought in many without the community to, give input and share with us, because we want to make sure that this isn't just, something we read out of a book or something, but also shared life experiences are incorporated. And, the numbers are ever changing. The stats are always changing. So we see the significance in always making sure we're updating the curriculum. And this is not a one and done. We certify them, but we also come back with more information and more tools.
Well, I like, talking to so many people. Not only are you getting different perspectives from different fields of study and different understandings of it, and you're getting more knowledge, but also it's helpful because it is a spectrum, right? So what you're dealing with your son and the people that because it's it's a community, but it can be there's wide ranges to it.
Absolutely. One thing I often like to say is, if you've met one person on the spectrum, you've only met one person on the spectrum, because they are all so unique. And a version of stimming for my son may look very different than another individual that is stimming. And so it's really important that we keep that knowledge going and we share that information. It's updated. And yes, you may encounter my son, and this is what you may encounter, but it may not be the same with somebody else that you encounter.
Now, I know you're it's training for law enforcement. Are there other elements? But also, I'm also getting the idea of not training. Well, I guess there training for parents and people on the spectrum, and parents to help maybe teach as much as they can learn, depending on where they are, as about how to deal with that. Do you teach both ends of it? And if so, what areas do you do that in?
So we do, we're not necessarily sitting down and teaching to parents, but we do provide a lot of support for them. We created a 911 checklist that we have. It's a downloadable item on our website. Okay. And we find that so important, because a lot of the times these families are going to call in crisis, and they're not going to remember some of the basic information they need to be sharing with the dispatcher when they call in. And so we found that this 911 checklist was so key, because this is something they can print off, they can laminate, whatever they want to do with it, put it on their refrigerator, and it just kind of helps them when they're in that,
it's a grounding tool. That's totally what I'm thinking of, is just because we get so caught up in the moment. Anything that's got us there, that you go back to it, okay. And not only is it good so that you need to give them the information, it'll make sense why you're being asked of it too.
Exactly. Exactly. So we just found it so important for them to have that and remind them, here's some really key pieces of information to share, because again, dispatch will be able to share that with the first responder, and then when they show up, they already have the knowledge and awareness that they need to empower them to have a better encounter. So.
Yeah. I love checklists.
Yeah. I mean, don't we all?
Just tell me what I need to do.
Yes, a lot of reminders. Yeah.
So with the teaching, you've created this. You and your husband have created the curriculum, along with all the help of the people helping you to build it. You've gotten certified.
Yes.
I mean, if there's any fun stories that you have from that, but that just sounds like a lot of work.
It was
congratulations.
A process. Yeah, thank you. It was a process, but well worth it, because we can say, that this is approved. Behavioral health professional looked at this, and somebody in law enforcement looked, reviewed this, and it's been approved, properly. And so it matters to us. We want that proper standard.
Yes.
So, and it's funny because all too often you hear, well, first responders are being voluntold to go to these trainings, like how much are they going to love that? Which, I guess in essence it can be true, just like most people. But we're finding more often than not, they sit through our class and they say, I wish this was longer. I wish I had more time. Thank you so much. And I mean, I've had giant men come up and just give me a hug and just say, thank you for doing this. And or I think I have a child that may be on the spectrum. Where do I go? Where do I turn? And so we don't just provide this training and talk at them, like I said, but also we provide resources, because it's so important, especially for like the disability community. Oftentimes you're just, you're handed this diagnosis and then you don't know where to go next. You don't know where to turn. You don't know what the next steps are. And so we want to be that safe place to land. We want to be able to continue the dialogue and continue to support after we've left the room. So
love that.
Thank you.
What does it look like? Do you reach out? Can law enforcement agencies, or can maybe if there's an officer that's like, you know what? Yes, training's not the most fun because it gets me out of my normal routine, but I have to do it anyway, and that would be something super helpful for me and my colleagues. What's the process like for those wanting this training?
Yeah, so we have a website, prestonspursuit.org. They can reach us through the website, and we're pretty quick to respond. And we start a dialogue on, how many officers or first responders are you looking to train? And that's the other key piece. It's not just the officers. We train the dispatchers, records. We want everybody involved in that training, because they're all going to be impacted in one way or another, or come in contact with somebody, and they're going to need the tools and know how to engage. And so it's not just the officers that we're training, which we find really important. But yeah, we have them, reach out to us, and then we start the dialogue. How big a class do you want? And then we usually send a proposal over, and we start conversation on how to get that going. And we're very flexible too. We don't just show up from 9 to 5. We get it. They're working crazy hours.
Shifts.
Yes.
They're like, okay, we'll take training.
Yeah, right. Well, and it's like, they're working all night, and then when I show up for a 9 a.m. Class again, they're like, no, thank you. No, thank you. Yeah. So we really try to be flexible with that as well. Like, we'll offer a day, but then we'll also offer, an evening or something or a Saturday. We really try to meet them where they're at, so that we make it easier for them to want to be there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that sounds very helpful. Where are you located out of, and where do you guys travel to, if so?
Yeah, so we're based out of Gilbert, but we've been all over the valley. We trained all of Casa Grande PD. We've trained all of Gilbert PD. We've also trained all of Surprise PD. And we just, November 5th, we took our training out of state for the first time, which was a huge milestone for us. We're super excited. Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Thank you. So we went to New Mexico, and we did a multi-agency training for them there. And again, just so much positive response. And they're already talking about how to get us back out there to, train more officers and whatnot. So
that's beautiful. That's what you want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you want to hear. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. I was just also going to share, we do have a fire track as well.
Okay.
Because, it's going to look a little different for them, of course, as you know. And so we have that written, we have it prepared. And so we're just working on, getting that out there and working with our firefighters as well. So, just getting the word out on that.
It's a process. And that's, that's one of the things, like, when I heard about it, I'm like, this is so powerful. It needs to get out there. What can I do to help,
Thank you.
And that's really what I'm wanting you here for, and I'm sure
I appreciate it.
But it's like, let's help really grow the word around it, and help this nonprofit grow, and get everyone trained up, because it is super important, and it's one of those things that you don't know that there are tools available until you go to this training sometimes, or you're so busy with work, that there's probably training out there, but you don't, you got to go to work. So having the work site be able to provide that is super powerful.
Absolutely.
So let's help spread the word, get out there. Everyone knows someone related to someone in law enforcement, in the firefighter community. And just, it really does, when they say it takes a community to come together, this is part of it. So really helping get that knowledge out there, get the training there. And, and I remember being in a place where, you go to a call and you just don't know how to help the person.
Yeah.
Because you don't. And it could be anything. It could be mental health,
Yes.
It could be a combination of things. It could be so many different things. And
you expect to wear so many hats and solve it all. Right?
And it's scary. Like, there have been times where it's like, okay, lives are being threatened. Mm-hmm. But I know that they're not really wanting to hurt anyone, but there's that really scary place. And it really, the pressure is on you to figure this one out, because that's where it needs to be. You're the one that should have the skills. So being able to get out there and have those tools given to someone.
I agree. Yeah. Well, I mean, because what is stimming? What is elopement? So often our first responders aren't given that knowledge, that information. And so they may encounter an individual that says, I'm stimming, and that may be the only thing they can say. But if the officer doesn't know what that is,
what is stimming?
Or, so it's a means to get out that extra energy for the individual. They're stressed, they're in a heightened situation, and it's a calming mechanism for them. For like my son, stimming for him looks like going out into the community. He really likes, talks about swords. He's asked for a sword. We've talked him out of that concept of maybe a sword, probably not a great idea. And he's, large, 250-pound, almost 6 foot male. And so he's out in the community, and he'll grab a stick and pretend it's a sword. And so he's walking back and forth, waving this giant stick above his head. And oftentimes he'll have an out loud dialogue with himself. And so that can be misconstrued as, something as a threat or what have you. But that's one of his calming mechanisms.
Gotcha.
So again, we just feel it's so important to bring awareness to that, and to let the officers, the first responders know that you may come upon somebody like that. They may not always, but they may not be a threat, and maybe just give them a moment and let them kind of work through what they're dealing with, and let them calm, and then they may be more willing to engage with you.
And I know, and I'm not going to get in and have you do all of your training right here, but I think there are, certain key things like the stemming, and it can look so different, but like you said, a lot of times it comes from them being stressed. That can be the trigger for it. And then allowing to give them space can help, ease that stress a little bit to come down. Because when they're triggered, I don't personally have anyone in my life that I know of that stems, like for your son, since that's an example we can kind of pull from now. What is it like for him? If someone were to say, stop doing that, what would it feel like within him? And at particular times, can he control it or not?
Yeah. So he has, over the years, received a lot of coping mechanisms, a lot of therapies, physical therapy, OT, ABA, all those things that are so needed to help support him. And he's higher functioning, so he's able to take in some of those tools. I would say there was a time where he would not have responded very well. He would have gotten more upset. He may have started screaming or run. And that's scary to us, because if he were to encounter a first responder that didn't know who he was and didn't know what was going on, and for him to just run from them, that could not be a great situation for either. And so luckily he has learned those coping skills that I don't think he would run at this point. I think it would be more just he would need more time to just keep pacing and kind of working through it on his own. So, but again, it looks different for everyone.
Yeah.
And so, they may encounter somebody that would be aggressive or perceived as aggressive, but they just aren't, their body's just out of whack and they don't know how to communicate. So, and that's another piece that we really like to train on and speak to is, individuals that are nonverbal, they're going to have an AAC device. It's a tablet, but it's got software on it, such as touch chat, and that's their voice. That's their means to communicate. And so, for example, if, they're in the car with mom and dad get into a car accident and they're incapacitated and you've got little Johnny in the back and they're trying to say, I'm hurt, I'm scared, whatever, we're training our first responders on what that is, how to engage with the individual, and don't push that away because it's not a toy, it's their voice. So
what from an pretty much an outsider on a lot of this, it just really seems like there's a lot more things starting to become available to help. I love the giving of the voice.
Yes.
Even though it's much different than being able to just stop and communicate what it is you need and what's bothering you.
Right.
But that's exciting. But
Yeah.
it also brings me back to what you guys are doing. It's helping that voice have a greater reach.
Yes.
And very powerful there. I love
Thank
it.
you.
And are there any other, so if an officer encounters someone, they believe that they're seeing someone stimming, you said to give them space. And again, I know it's different for everyone.
Right.
And what would be is there a general first step to be able to give space to someone?
Yeah, so we usually encourage them to just take a moment, assess what may be going on. We ask them a couple of questions, where's mom? Or, what do you have in your hand? Is that your toy? Or, just try to engage with them, build a bit of a rapport with them, and meet them where they're at. Obviously, if this is a, aggressive situation where they're coming at the officer, they need to do what they need to do, but we are really trying to give them more tools on how to assess the situation, how to work with the individual and help them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We also really love, working with the community as a whole. So we just recently, on this past Saturday, we partnered with AZ Leos, and they do Shop with a Cop every year, and they've been doing that for so many years. And I had brought to Cindy Hill, who's one of the founders and president of AZ Leos, hey, have you thought about maybe like a sensory awareness, separate shopping experience for those with autism and disabilities? And she's like, no, but let's do this, And so it turned into this beautiful partnership. And so just this Saturday, we had the event over at Mesa Riverview Walmart. And so we created a separate entrance and exit for them where they came and went through the garden center. So it was less stimulation.
And around plants. I love that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, it might be all Christmas stuff right
now. True. There was a lot of Christmas stuff. But no, it was wonderful. And we had officers that came to support us from 4 different agencies. They came from Goodyear PD, Surprise PD, Gilbert PD, Chandler PD. So they came from all over the valley just so they could participate in that, right? I mean, it's so awesome. So that was pretty incredible. And it was so heartwarming because, these families, they need support. They need to feel seen. They need to know that we're there for them and that the first responders are there to support them. And what I saw was, it's hard to even explain how awesome it really was. I mean, little boy just saying thank you so many times and so grateful. One of the officers, they're given a budget on how much they can spend because there's only so much, raised. And I watched one of our officers see that the little boy had gone over his budget. That officer didn't even think twice. He ran out to his car, grabbed his wallet, and he covered the difference. And I mean, that's what matters here is, bringing our community together.
Yes.
So it was a pretty cool event. So yeah.
That's wonderful. I love that.
Yeah, we're excited to be a part of that. So we're hoping for more in the future.
So we want to get the word out about your nonprofit.
Yes.
Get it to people, the decision makers, the people that are going to make the most noise in the department.
Yes,
to ask for
lots of
this.
noise.
What else is there? Is there any other asks that you have or things that you have that we can help you out with?
Yeah, so we are working towards creating some sort of a fundraising event. We're talking about that. So we're always, needing the extra support to help pay for training our officers. So we have a part on a page on our website where they can go and donate to help support, which is huge for us. It's a big. It's a ask that I struggle with, but it really matters. And so, if anybody's willing to donate to the page and help us, put this training forward, we always appreciate it. But yeah, we're on. We have our website, PrestonsPursuit.org. We also have Facebook and Instagram at Preston's Pursuit, and then we're also on LinkedIn.
Wonderful. Super great. So yeah, also marketer people that promote,
Yes.
just get the word out there. The departments are showing up. They're asking for more. This is stuff that's needed. And you mentioned locally, in Arizona, you've branched out to New Mexico, but you're also willing to travel, nationwide.
Absolutely.
So wherever you might be tuning in from, it exists.
Yes.
It's there. The training is there.
Yeah.
So start being vocal and getting it to your hometown. So
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best success, and giving those tools out. So.
Yeah, I appreciate it so much. I appreciate the platform to be able to share our story. So thank you.
Thank you for stopping in.
Yeah.
So again, make sure that you check them out, Preston's Pursuit, and the links will be definitely in the show notes. If you know people, if not, click that donate button and help spread the word, because you are a badass. So thank you so much, and keep being badass.
Thanks for tuning in to Badass in Action. Drop a quick note, DM, comment, or review, letting me know the moment that hit hardest or the questions it sparked. Your insights fuel future episodes. Until next time, stay badass, keep moving, and remember, you got this.